If you're interested in getting started with woodworking and you're not sure what to purchase, I have a few recommendations that I think will be helpful. One of the realities of being a woman and using tools is tools are not really designed with women in mind. I'm just saying they're not. So often what you find is the grip on most tools is bigger than is comfortable for you. And that's been my biggest challenge in buying tools. So I just recommend, and you know what, it's not a criticism because they're getting so much better. I don't know if they're thinking about that there are more women who are purchasing and using tools, or if they're just getting better with their overall design. Either way, it's win-win for me. But what you need to do is just go see what feels best in your hand. And I think it is really important to try and use them if you can, because holding it and using it it's an entirely different matter. So what they do right now is they sell them in combo sets, and this is the way I recommend purchasing them, just because it is such a great deal. I have Makitas right now, and the reason I have Makitas, I've got nothing against DeWalt or some of the other brands, it's just when I had to repurchase my drills, the Makita had the best design at the time for me. Since then, all of them have updated their designs, and they seem to do it every couple of years. So again, it's not necessarily a Makita, it's the tool that fits best in your hand. These work really well for me. Now when you get a combo set, you get 2 drills, and you get the charger, and you get sometimes they'll give you an extra battery, but either way it's going to come with 2 batteries, one for each drill, which is awesome. So this is an impact driver, this tiny one, and then this is just your traditional drill. This looks smaller, but this is the workhorse. The impact driver is the one when you really need some power behind what you're doing. This is the one that you use, and I still love this drill. This is just a traditional drill, so probably what you have in your mind, like your dad had one or whatever, traditional. And what that means is you have this variable chuck, and when you put different bits in, you have to screw it in and screw it out. Traditional, right? These are great, love them. But here's the thing about me, I'm super impatient. I am. And when I'm working on a project, you know, to have to screw a drill bit in and out seems like totally unreasonable to me. So apparently I'm getting really spoiled. I actually really use this a lot. You really shouldn't, because you can drill through the back of stuff pretty easy. You have to know that this one has a lot of power. But the thing that I love about it is it has a different chuck on it. So it has a little hex chuck, and you just pull this little coupling up, and your bit just slides in and out. And it's super fast. And that's kind of what I'm looking for in a drill. So I actually have several drills, and I'll pull them all out and use them when I'm working on just one project. I don't think you can have too many drills. But keep in mind that when you approach it, it should be about how your user experience is rather than the brand or somebody else's opinion. Also, don't fall for, I understand the desire to go with the cheaper version, the cheaper brand, the cheaper model. Don't do it. You will regret it. I know many people who have purchased less expensive, less of a quality drill, and that's what you're going to get. Less money, you will get less quality, and I don't enjoy using those drills. Also, resist the urge to fall for this trick. So this is a great drill. Great brand, great drill, really a quality product. When I got this drill, I was very excited. I'm like, oh, this really fits in my hand. This is perfect. But the thing is it just doesn't have enough power, basically, for anything. What I use this drill is for hanging pictures, and that's pretty much it. It's a great drill, but it doesn't have enough power to be, particularly if you're just purchasing one drill, this is not the one that you want, so resist the urge to do it. The second tool that I would consider essential when you're getting started would be a really good sander. So these are 2 of my favorites, and again, I have lots of sanders, lots. There are so many different kinds, and they matter. I mean, it's all about the right tool for the job, And if you have the right tool for the job is so much more pleasurable. So I do have more sanders, but I'm trying to approach this from a beginner's point of view, like really what would be the most helpful to have in the very, very beginning. And my opinion is both of these sanders. If you have to get one over the other, that's fine. If you can get both, that's great too. Here's the difference. These happen to be DeWalt's, but the same thing applies. Makita has great sanders, and there are several off-brands that actually have pretty good sanders too. Again, when I approach my sanders, it's the same thing with the drills. How does it fit in my hand? Now these are several years old, and since I purchased these, they've actually redesigned them in a more sleek way, in a way that fits my hand better. So I'm looking forward to when these die, and I'll purchase the next ones and they'll fit my hands better. But these aren't so big and clunky that I can't use them. So this is a non-random sander, and this is a random sander. And the difference is, so you have this square pad, and the sandpaper is held on with these little pressure wires. The cool thing about this is you can just buy sheets of sandpaper, you cut them to fit, and you don't ever have to worry about getting special sandpaper or anything like that. This baby is a workhorse. If you are like me, which is impatient, when I'm stripping furniture, like trying to get paint off of furniture that I want to finish, I hate doing the chemical stripping. I hate it. I think it's a mess. I'm just too impatient for it. So I actually, anytime I strip, I use this, and it'll strip anything off anything, and I love it. It's just fantastic. But here's the negative with this particular thing. If you're, like, for example, finishing a table, something that you really want to have a fine finish on it, this non-random sander will leave these little swirl marks in your wood, and you can see them. I've messed up a couple different projects. I don't know what I was thinking, but I ended up using this and then not going over it with a finer grit, and this particular sander. And when I put the final finish on and it dried and I got down and I saw these swirl marks, and I had to strip it off and redo it again. So that's the negative thing about this particular sander. So just keep it in mind. If you can only purchase one, just keep that in mind. Like, what are you really going to be using it for? This orbital sander is, this will not leave any swirl marks in anything that you do, but it doesn't strip as well as this guy. So this is, I would call it more of a workhorse. But I love this sander. I really, really love this sander. I use them both equally. The difference between, aside from the fact that this is random, it has these, oh well, I just used it and didn't clean it, sorry, don't judge me. It has these discs that you have to purchase. So you cannot just go purchase any disc. It has to be specific. I chose the Velcro pad, and the reason is there's another one that's like an adhesive pad, but I have several friends who have those, and I've seen them gum up a lot, and I just don't like that. So this is Velcro. I've never, ever, ever had a problem with it, and I've never had a problem finding the discs either. So they say that that's the downside, is sometimes you can't find the discs. It's never happened to me, so whatever that's worth. But you can damage these pads. So if you're being really aggressive, or I've never damaged one of mine, so I'm not really sure how people do it, but I know I've seen them damaged, and so I guess there's a way to do it. Just take care of your tools. I don't polish mine up or anything after I use them, and as you can see, I didn't clean that one out last time I used it. But you know what? My tools are used tools. I love them, and you can see that I love them and use them. Another tool that I love, use frequently, and would highly recommend is this brad nailer. I have lots of nailers, I do, and I love all my nailers, but I use this nailer the most, which is kind of a surprise because it's a brad nailer. It's an 18 gauge, and that's generally considered to be a very adorable, oh, it's super cute, but it doesn't really do anything. I totally disagree. I can get nails as small as a 1/4 inch long, which has been surprisingly helpful for me, and then also up to 1.5 inches. And so it's got, for me, a wide range, and I use it all the time. I love this nailer. This is a Porter cable. I think it was about $100, and I with it, I use this. Now, anybody who knows anything about tools is looking at it going, oh, that's so adorable, and it is. But this is a compressor, and your nail guns need compressors to work. This is a very, very tiny one, but I love it. It's 1 gallon and super portable. I have another air compressor. The thing about air compressors is they can be very cumbersome. They're difficult to maneuver, difficult to move. I could throw this in my car, and which I do frequently. I travel with my tools, and this one is really, I mean, look, it's easy. I can run it through the house really quickly. It's just a pleasure to use. So the last tool that I'm going to recommend for today is, for beginners, a Dremel. I love this tool. This is just a fantastic tool. They're not expensive. I recommend not purchasing the big pack, you know, with all of these accessories in it, because in my experience I found that I have certain attachments that I really use and some that I have never touched, not ever in my life. So it's not worth the money. Find out what attachments you really enjoy and are helpful to you, and then just purchase those, and you'll save money in the end. Now, that being said, I do recommend, highly recommend, that you purchase, in addition to the Dremel, this piece. So when you buy a Dremel, you're just buying that piece. But this is called a flexible shaft, and it's an attachment that you put on, and it gives you the ability to just have so much more range to get in whatever you want. This for me is very limiting, but this is, I can do whatever I want with it. I highly recommend everybody having one of these. Whether you're a mom, awesome. Working in the garage, awesome. Little crafts in the house, awesome. I even think like teenagers should have them. The boys and I started making wands with these years and years ago, and we made awesome wands. We did. This is just a really super helpful tool to have around, no matter what capacity you're using it in. So that's it for today. I love to talk about tools, so I'll very likely continue to spotlight some of my favorites. If you have any questions, let me know. I highly recommend, you know, getting out there and trying a bunch of them, and if you know ways to use them that you think, you know, maybe other people don't know, let me know. I'm always excited to hear about how people are using their tools and what they're creating with them. And then finally, a couple resources that I think would be helpful. AnnaWhite.com, go check it out. Seriously, if I had had access to that website when I was first starting, well, I still would have loved it. I just think it's really, really helpful. I think she has just done a great job making projects available to people, like really cool projects, available to people who are coming from very little knowledgeable background. Do you know what I mean? Like people who haven't had much experience. You can pick a project that's pretty impressive, but the way that she's set it up is so simple and easy to understand. She provides cut sheets so that, you know, you're not going to make the costly mistake of having cuts made from a 4x8. She also does this color coding plan system. I mean, it's super cool, so go check it out. And then also, if you haven't considered, please be aware some of my best resources, hands down, have been mentors that I have found in the community. You would be surprised at how many people there are who want to share their knowledge, who want to share their expertise and are willing. And that for me has without a doubt been the most beneficial. And in addition to gaining all of this real-time experience, you know, I get to develop relationships with these people. So, you know, I'm all about the relationship. I have my Uncle Ken is a welder, and he's been working with me, helping me weld things, you know, in addition to what Dan, you know, taught me. And I have several other people who continuously reach out and help me. I think that finding a mentor in the community is beneficial for multiple reasons. But you'd be surprised. Look around and see what your resources are, and do what you can to utilize them.